Hello, hello, Karina Groomridge here, and welcome to episode 10 of MomBoss Life. I will be joined today by Kiana Johnson, who is a life and business coach, and I'm super excited to have her on today. I'm just going to take a second and see if she has joined us. All right, not yet. So, Kiana, if you can hear me, drop me a comment when you're watching so that I see that you're on. Sometimes it might take a second. So let's hope the magic of the internet is with us and it will connect us. Yay!
Hi,
Hello, how are you?
doing good. How are you?
Excellent. Very good. Thank you. So, okay, I was just giving an introduction. So, this is episode 10 of Mom Boss Life. Super excited to have you on and sharing your story today. So this is going out to all of the fellow mom bosses out there who might be struggling in their business, who would love to get a glimpse into the world of some other moms who are also doing the same thing. So hopefully they can pull some tips, some tricks, get to know a little bit more about you and what you do and maybe how you can help them.
Yeah,
Uh, so so just to start off, I'd love to hear a little bit more about who you are. I didn't really have a chance to give you a proper introduction, but I guess since you're here now and we didn't have any technical difficulties, which is fantastic, can you take a minute to tell us a little bit about yourself?
yeah. Can you hear me okay? Am I yelling? Am I
Yes,
too quiet? Okay,
I think you get.
perfect. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Yeah, so I'm Kiana. I am a mom of two. I'm 25 years old. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. Just a little bit about my background. If you do the math, my daughter's 9 and my son is 4. So I actually had my daughter when I was 16. So my sophomore, going into my junior year of high school, I had my daughter. So that's been one of the biggest, kind of struggles or the biggest impact I guess in my story is
No kidding.
being a teen mom. So that's one of the main things that I like to share when I'm sharing my story with anybody is the fact that I am where I am today, and it started off like my story kind of started as a teen mom. So huge
Yes.
start.
Oh my God. Well, to me is just crazy. Like you had told me kind of the math and like let me figure that out. And obviously that was the first realization that you've gone and accomplished so much, and coming from being a teen mom, which is something that so many people associate with, okay, well, you've had a child and you're still a kid and like therefore your life is just a total write-off from this point on. Like most people just don't expect
Exactly.
so much. And you didn't mention it, but you have a BA in psychology, a master's in coaching, mentoring, and leadership, if I'm not mistaken, which
Yes.
is just phenomenal. Like, congratulations, that's
Well,
amazing.
thank you. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah. So right after I had my daughter, I jumped right back into high school. I finished top 10% of my class. I immediately started community college. Didn't go so well actually in the community college world. So I moved up to university and did fantastic with that program. Fell in love with psychology, and then midway through realized it's not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So
Oh,
I was like, okay, well, we'll finish the psych degree, but
good
to go on
idea.
to master's, yeah, halfway through, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but for my master's, like what I planned on doing was actually being a child psychologist. So you would imagine that that kind of put a damper in my plans for further education. I'm like, well, I don't want to do psychology at all. I really love the science behind it and the understanding of that I gained from that degree. But I knew that I didn't want to work in the field for the rest of my life. Too many regulations, too many, things that could go wrong. There's less control over it. And that's kind of when I realized that what I had been doing in my network marketing company already was coaching my team. So when I found out that coaching, that there was actually a degree in it, and technically it's a degree in leadership with a focus in coaching and mentoring. So when I realized
Okay.
that that was a real thing, I was like, okay, so it's kind of that fine line. Like I don't have to jump out of psychology, but I don't have to continue like medical field psychology. I can apply the same concepts, but apply them to whatever I want as a coach and have control over my business versus, having to go all the way and open a private practice and, all of that, and still have to deal with all of the, state and government regulations that come along with psychology. So it was kind of my
No kidding.
way of skipping over all of that, but still being able to apply the same one-on-one, therapeutic approaches with clients.
That's fantastic. So right now, you're full-time in your coaching? Is that right?
I'm sorry, it kind of cut
Are,
out.
are you Sorry, are you full-time in your coaching? I know you said you also have a couple of other, you're multi-passionate, so you have a couple of other things going.
Yeah. Yeah. So coaching is full-time, my network marketing full-time. If you were to divide it up in a pie, it would be divided evenly. So I work for
And then
Keller
add
Williams
momming in
Realty.
there.
Yeah. So mom of two, I work for Keller Williams Realty. I do some social media stuff for them. And then they're, saying that I'd be a good fit as a realtor. So I'm considering doing that. I'm loving the real estate field. And then life and business coach. And then also I started a tax business this year. So like I said, if you take the pieces of the pie, they're all divided evenly. I do really well, like managing time and all of that, but I am multi-passionate, to say the least. So yeah.
No kidding. So, so how exactly do you divide up your time? Because that's like, there's a lot of things going on there.
Yeah, so a lot of it has to do with making sure that your calendar is always, where it needs to be whenever you have something going on like this, for example, the lives, or my daughter, we actually just got back about an hour ago from her, from me taking her to get her hair done. So just things like that, like I work those into my schedule. The tax business is something that I'm an affiliate with. So I'm an affiliate with a financial group, and they actually do credit repair, and the company helped me fix my credit. As you can imagine, with a master's degree, student loan debt is no joke. So, so they actually helped me repair my credit and get prepared to actually buy a house this year. So when they offered the tax services and the opportunity to run my own tax business, I jumped on it. So now that we're, full-fledged into tax season, that's been the most, I guess, kind of juggle is the taxes with everything else, because that's the newest piece of the pie. Everything else I've been kind of managing, for a while now, and I just really do it through my calendar, and I use like Calendly for free,
Nice.
And so I block everything out. I live off of my calendar on my phone and my Calendly. Without those, I probably wouldn't be able to juggle anything. But
No kidding.
between kids, and my daughter is in dance and cheer, and then appointments and school events, and then the social media work that I do with Keller Williams, one-on-one work with my clients, it all seems to fit well into my calendar. I still get enough rest, enough time to just hang out and drink some wine
Nice.
after the kids are already fed and bathed and all of that. So it definitely works out. In order to, just to back up a little bit though, getting my degrees, I actually did a lot of it online, which most people are petrified to do. They start it and then they stop, and it gets really difficult. So I think that a lot of the discipline that I have now in my actual practice and my actual businesses comes from that discipline from those online classes, having being a new young mom with my daughter, and then starting, community college, and then moving on to university. That really built up the discipline for me. Like I feel like I'm one of the most disciplined people, and it's only because of that. Like at the time I was a single mom, and like I said, a young mom, learning, working full time, and then trying to go to school and trying to do it online and kind of teach yourself is really one of the hardest things I think anybody can ever do.
No
and
kidding.
now that I've mastered that, and pushed through to the master's degree, everything else is kind of a walk in the park, there's
No
less
kidding.
deadlines. I don't have deadlines to meet with, like I did with assignments with my clients. I can kind of, work around my own schedule. If I want to take the day off, I can take the day off. If I want to travel, I can travel. So everything just kind of flows really well. Then the tax business, like I said, that's kind of throwing everything off a little bit, but I can expect that from January to April from now on.
No kidding. Well, learning curve, right?
Right, exactly.
Yes. So I'm curious, how you said single mom. So, what does your support network look like? Because I know a lot of people, they'll be trying to build their business, and if they're single moms, if they're, maybe immigrants in a certain area, they don't have the same like family support. So I'm just wondering, what does your support system look like?
Yeah, so it's very small, but it's very strong. I am not a single mom anymore. So I was a single mom from the time that my daughter was born to until she was about 4, and she's 9 now. So for the past 5 years, I've had a good support system with my son's father and his brother, his parents, and then my own mom and grandmother. And that's kind of all the family that
Nice.
we have.
Okay.
I did meet I guess you'd say, 3 best friends through my network marketing company. Like, we didn't know each other beforehand.
Hmm.
We met through the company. They were on my team, and we've been friends ever since. That was about 4 years ago. So my 3 closest friends, I met through business, and that's kind of my circle. My mom, we're not from Tennessee, so I was actually born in Oregon, and my entire family was born in California. So my mom she spent a couple months in 2018 there, and she is actually moving back in about a month. So she's, been big on support with my kids and babysitting and, making sure that I made it through school and all that. She was my biggest support, her and my grandmother. And so now she's moving to
Aw.
back across the country. So, but she's always there, for emotional support and all of that. But that's kind of it, a couple close friends, and couple close family members. That's really all that I have. And I think that kind of helps because they know that
Mhm.
they're really, deep into my life and what I have going on. So anytime I have a problem, like you talk about, hiring a coach or anything like that, I have like 10 coaches, with my mom, my grandmother, my couple of friends. Like, I have this such close like accountability partner system. So anytime I have any kind of problem, anytime, I'm frustrated, anytime I'm contemplating starting something new, I have like this board of support that I can consult with,
Nice.
and get different perspectives from everyone. So I hope that answered your question a little bit too.
Yes, and I'm hoping for our audience, it'll kind of show that you don't need a huge, massive support network. Like, you can get by with just a few solid people. So that's a really good, I
Yeah.
guess, reminder for our audience. And also, to anybody in the audience, if you're listening, drop us a comment, ask Kiana any questions. And if we can't get to it live, then we can always come back around and make sure they're all answered. So, with that said, um, I would love to know. You talked about a couple of things, but what do you think would be your biggest hurdle that you had to overcome in growing your own business?
Business hurdle would probably be okay, when I started my own coaching business, I had already been an entrepreneur for a while and for about 4 years in my network marketing company. And so when I first launched my business, I wanted to find my own coach, but I didn't want a business coach. I wanted more of a mindset coach, more of a spiritual coach, even intuitive coach, something that wasn't strategy, but was more working through my own, inner issues. Because I was also raised by a single mom. So you can imagine, the money mindset things that kind of go on with that
Yeah.
mentality and trying to go a different route than my mom did. Because, she worked all of her life, and she's good at many things, but never really turned them into a prosperous business. So with me taking a different route, I don't have an outcome to compare it to.
Hmm.
So it's kind of, who do I look up to for this? So I had to work through a lot of money mindset issues, scarcity issues, and all of that. So my biggest hurdle was actually working through those things because I jumped into a 5-month coaching program as soon as I launched my coaching practice. And so I was working through these things while trying to help my
Coach
clients
others.
with
Yeah.
completely different things. We were working on more business strategy and more of the therapeutic approach to mindset, the actual therapeutic medical, like anxiety and some of the things for my psych degree is what I work with my clients on. A little bit of manifestation, money mindset and all of that, but it was not nearly as deep as what my coach took me through for 5 months. And so that was actually the hardest part, was doing it at the same time instead of hiring my coach first and then launching, or maybe waiting until the issues arose in my business, which that's a good thing that I didn't wait until those issues came about. But it was difficult to be, day one of business, or, client number one. And then also on like session number one or breakthrough number one with my own coach, I was just like, I'd get off of a coaching call with a client and feel amazing, and then get on a call with my coach and start thinking about things. And she was so amazing about, the way that she did whatever it is that she does with the spiritual coaching. She was so amazing about it. But, I coach my clients one way, and it's very tangible. It's very goal driven. We whatever the problem is, we solve it. If you don't even know that you have a problem, I can usually pinpoint that.
Yeah.
It's just very tangible, very goal driven, success driven. And then with my coach, she's asking these like very deep questions, and I'm just like, do I have to answer that? Like, I don't want to do that today. So she definitely helped me work through that. So it was a hurdle, but in the most positive way, like in the most positive way possible.
Amazing. And I just want to point out just the crazy mindset shift that you needed, whether you, I guess, walked into it with that mindset or you developed it, but just to go from teen mom to, independent, able to travel and give your family more than what you were brought up with, like that's just phenomenal. And it takes a really strong mindset to be able to do that and say, like, I want more and I'm striving for more. So I just want to say
Right.
kudos to that. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of people, when they hear my story, they hear my age and all of that, they kind of, especially as a coach, being a young, mom and all of that. And it's actually funny that whenever I first, drew up my ideal client and all of that, she was kind of in the same situation, the same type of background, like very similar to me. And I actually attract the complete opposite of me. Most of my clients, when we jump on our first, consultation call, they're in their, mid to late 30s, even early 40s. They're relaunching a business, or their first, launching their first business. And it's insane to me how much trust they put in me with my age, because a lot of people outside of this industry, judge off of age, oh, you don't know anything, you're young. And I'm like, well, I've experienced a lot of life. I think once you've had kids, you're kind of, you're in the circle now. Okay. Like you're in the group now. It doesn't matter what your situation is. We all go through the same mom struggles. So I found that was really interesting, though, that I was connecting with, when I first launched my business, that's not what I expected, to connect with women a lot older than me, who really just poured their trust into me more than anything. They didn't question anything that I was saying, or, try to use my, my age or my situation or my past in a negative way, but more in it inspired them. So there was a lot of, in the beginning, trade-off, with myself and my clients. They kind of would use their wisdom to tell me how impressive my situation was. And then I was able to use, my more tangible, like, business coaching skills to help them. So very interesting whenever I first launched that.
Amazing. Awesome. Okay. So what do you think would be your, the biggest trait that has helped you to succeed in your business?
Discipline is key. If anybody ever asks me anything, like, that's more and more and more as I add more to my plate, as my kids get older and they start to, dive into things like, their homework or our routines, with our home life, or with me wanting to purchase my first home, or whatever the situation is. I have noticed, I used to think that you had to, have motivation, or you had to have this, or you had to have that. And what I realized is that discipline is there when the motivation is gone. That's kind of like my motto.
Good
yeah. Discipline is there when the motivation, when the drive, when the focus is gone. Discipline is there. Like, discipline is like that thing that carries you through. And I compare it to school. I compare it to school when you're on that deadline and you've got a paper due by midnight, and it's like almost eight, it's almost 8 o'clock. The only thing that's going to carry you through is discipline. Focus isn't, caffeine isn't, wine isn't, motivation, like nothing is going to carry you through besides discipline. So knowing what that end result is, knowing whatever it is that you want, not even what others expect of you or the expectations that you even put upon yourself, but what you truly want in the end is what is going to motivate you and keep you, keep you focused and motivated is discipline. That's kind of that's the one thing for me.
All right. So, has there ever been a time where you felt like giving up and just saying, fuck it, like this is too much, I can't handle it? Has there ever been that moment?
I think I go through those moments every day, not with like, not throwing in the towel with my business or anything specific, but just, those days, as a mom, especially when it's the end of the day, no one's been fed, no one's been bathed, you're exhausted. No matter what you've done for the day, whether you've worked a 9 to 5, you've got a business, you're a student, whatever it was, you're just not feeling it. And you're just like, you know what? I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to leave. And I don't know when I'm going to come back. That's just, and then you don't actually do it. Why? Because discipline. but seriously, but no, there's not really been a time where I've actually wanted to throw in the towel. For me, I've always believed that when people kind of say success and failure to me is only if you give up. So when people think that they failed because, their income dropped or they failed because their business failed, they consider their previous business a failure and now they're moving on to something else, or they feel like as a mom, they're a failure. To me, you're only a failure if you quit. That's the only way to fail in anything. Any other, setback, that's all it is a hump to get over. It's not technically a failure. So for me, I've never failed at anything because I've never really quit anything. I quit jobs in the past, but it was for reasons to get to a better job or, for a reason of a better opportunity or freedom of time or, launching businesses, whatever it was. So yeah, I've never really contemplated quitting anything, more so adding it, shifting it, switching it around. What can I do to make it better? If I don't want to do this anymore, how do I transition it? Like the Keller Williams Realty thing is the perfect example. So I attract more business clients who want to work one-on-one, but I love social media. And in that business coaching, we do focus on social media. But I wanted to jump into a new industry completely. And real estate, let me just tell you, is a whole new ballpark when you've rented all of your life and never worked with a realtor, never been inside of a realty company. So I just, kind of took an opportunity for like a job interview and went in and ended up, like I said, running social media for them and all of that. But that's kind of how, instead of, quitting a business or quitting one of my other endeavors because I wasn't feeling as fulfilled, I had all these time gaps. Basically, I was only available for coaching certain times, certain days, that's very strict in my schedule. But then the other times of the day, I was just like, well, these are times that I'd like to be making money. They're times of the day that my kids are in school. I could be doing something productive and I want it to be consistent. I don't want to just open my calendar up to take, an hour call here, an hour call there. I want something to do for, a couple hours a day, every day, that's very consistent to get me into more of a morning routine because I was not a morning person. And so that for me is just kind of how I, instead of quitting and saying, this doesn't fulfill me, or questioning, maybe this isn't what I should be doing, I picked up a new opportunity. So as you can tell by looking at my plate, that's what I'm good at, is adding things to the plate and then shifting them around to make them work. Now, if something ends up needing knocked off the plate, then that's fine. But as of now, nothing's needed knocked off the plate. So that's just a method that really works well for me too, is instead of saying, I don't wake up, feeling the best anymore. Or I don't, let me open my calendar up and free up even more time and, squeeze more things into less hours of the day. I chose to just jump into a new industry to kind of jumpstart that like excitement again. And especially open myself up to new people. So now there are other realtors and groups within the Keller Williams Realty firm who want to hire me for social media. And I'm just getting in front of more
Ah.
people, getting back into, like my groove of everything and like the excitement and just the newness of the new business, And it's like, how do you get that new business feeling again without like quitting your business and starting another one?
Sounds like a new relationship kind of feeling.
Yeah, it is. It is. So I think that that's what I'm good at, is juggling a lot of things. So like when school dropped off and I got my master's, it's like, okay, now what? Because I'm used to go, 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 and now we have nothing to do. So then I start to pick things up, and once it's like a complacent feeling. Once I start to feel like things are leveling out and getting kind of too organized or too slow, too complacent, I just kind of add something small to my plate. And it might be taking a course or, something like that. But with this particular situation, about 4 months ago, that's when I jumped into Keller Williams. So yeah, that's kind of how I operate.
Okay, so clearly you've got a lot on your plate. So can you tell us, like, what does a day in your life look like?
So, there's a lot less organization to discipline than what one may think. Someone may think that I just have this strict calendar and, I time block. So time blocking is actually one of the things that I hate. I hate time blocking. I rebel against it. Like I rebel naturally at heart. So time blocking just makes me feel like someone's telling me what to do, and I hate it. So, but for the most part, my kids have a morning routine for school. They've got a list of everything that they're supposed to do in the mornings: brush your teeth, put your clothes on, make your bed, plug in your phones and tablets, turn TVs off, all those good things. So the mornings are taken care of. They get dropped off at school. I usually nap in the morning, to be completely honest. Still not a morning person yet. And then I do my Keller Williams stuff for the most part, work my coaching business in the evening. The tax business, we're still figuring that out, what days of the week we want to do that, because it's kind of through an app. So people can upload their things to an app, and then so I'm kind of taking clients as I get them. So that's kind of thrown in the mix throughout the day, morning, afternoon, night. But that's kind of it. I kind of do the Keller Williams thing in the morning. The network marketing is passive income, so it kind of runs itself. And I'm available for that anytime. I think if you don't throw wrenches in your system, then your system never really like crumbles and needs your help, and just starts to fall apart where you have to drop everything and tend to this one problem. But every day I kind of manage everything. I check in on my website, I check in on my social media, I check in with my clients. I have my specific days for coaching, and in that, specific days for client one-on-ones and specific days for consultations, and block everything out for personal things. Though that's been my biggest I think success recently, is making sure that I go into my actual calendar to put when I'm unavailable for personal things, like kind of like this, making sure that I'm not taking calls, because this would normally be a call time for me. Well, today's Tuesday, so maybe not. I don't think I do calls on Tuesdays, but this would normally, this time of day is usually a call time for me. So what I was running into is if I don't go put it in the calendar, that's when I run into the problem,
Yes.
So then I'm out at the grocery store when I'm supposed to be on this live, or I'm, I'm in the middle of bedtime routine when I'm supposed to be on a client call. And so that's where my biggest, I guess, conflict in scheduling came in. And so now that I have like a desk calendar, a planner, my actual phone calendar, and then my booking calendar, everything is kind of synced. I look at it frequently, and before I was just kind of winging it, jotting down notes. 2 p.m. on Wednesday with so-and-so, go to the grocery store, make sure you shower sometime, So I don't have a strict schedule where I'm like, this time wake up, this time do this time do that. But I do make sure that I, as I mentioned, working with my spiritual coach, she really showed me the giving myself grace and doing what feels good for me, doing what my body is calling for, especially like if I've got if I've got a to-do list of things and I feel like I want to take a shower and watch Netflix, I take a shower and watch Netflix. And I don't feel bad
Nice.
about it. I'm not apologetic for it. Obviously, paid clients, that's a little different because, they did spend money
Yeah.
with you. But I know that I will, outside of those, those calls with those clients, everything else is negotiable. So
Okay.
I
Well,
have,
one of my other questions was, like, do you do self-care? So I guess that kind of feeds into it. Do you have any other like rituals or routines you like to do to take care of yourself?
yeah, kind of the basics. Wine, no. So
Yeah.
aside from wine, making sure that I listen because I was bad about that. Like I suffered from anxiety for a very long time, all the way up to 2016, actually. And that's when I started to really, I feel like I've cured myself of my anxiety. But very high strung, very anxiety, very worrisome all the time,
Mhm.
stressed, high strung. And getting over that was probably one of the biggest personal triumphs. And what caused that was kind of getting into that, like, the world's not going to fall apart if my kids don't have a bath tonight. It's not going to fall apart if the house isn't spotless. It's not going to fall apart if we decide to, lay in bed and watch Netflix instead of run to the grocery store, or instead of, take this call, or instead of, if it
Mhm.
can wait and it needs to wait, then it will. But that's where the discipline comes in, is the fine
Yes.
line between the
Yes.
procrastination. It's not, wait and do tomorrow what could be done today. It's if the calling is there, you've got a sick kid or a whiny kid, or you've got a whiny body, you've got, you just,
True.
and that's what I used to ignore the most, is my own, I would put me last. And I think a lot of moms put themselves last on the
Mhm.
list. It's, job and kids and husband and household first. And then it's you. And whenever you start to put yourself first, and I don't, go splurge and, every day I'm just out pampering myself, and I just, it's not like that at all. But if I decide that tomorrow on Wednesday I want to go get a pedicure at noon, I'm going to go get a pedicure at noon. As long as I don't have a paid client call booked at noon, whatever is going on at noon, I will cancel and go get a pedicure. If I need to, rush home or rush somewhere in the middle of something, I will politely wrap up whatever it is that I'm doing with the client, or wrap up whatever it is I'm doing with the kids, and tell them, because even right now, like, I told them mom needs a few minutes, so they ate already, they were bathed already, they are quiet, and you
Oh.
would know if if we hadn't had this
True.
conversation. But I told them, mom's gonna go jump on a video, and I'm going to close my door. So whenever I get finished, if it's not an emergency, don't bother me, kind of thing. And after this, if I had a list of things to do, but I wanted to take a hot shower and just relax, that's what I would do. So I think that goes into the self-care. I think self-care just boils down to, there's no like right or wrong way. Just listen to what your body needs. And I think
Yes.
that
I
that's
love that
why we
advice.
get, yeah, that's why we get to where our hair's falling out, our skin's breaking out, where our temper is really bad with our kids and our significant other. All of that starts to happen since we put ourselves, not when, but because we do put ourselves
Mhm.
last as women and as moms. We tend to put ourselves last, and that starts to show in our work and in our appearance and in our relationships, how we talk to, everyone, our kids, our significant other, et cetera, et cetera. Um,
Yourself.
yeah, exactly. So it boils down to, it's okay to drop everything and take a hot shower and watch Netflix, or, cancel your business plans for the evening and go have a drink with a girlfriend, or, take the kids to the movies. It's okay to cancel either end, family things to do business work if that's going to make you feel better, or cancel business things to do stuff with family, or cancel it all to do
Do
things
nothing.
for yours. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. To do whatever it is that you want to do for you. And then that is how you take care of yourself. And that is the complete cure, I feel like, for like anxiety and overwhelm, and the even like imposter syndrome that a lot of people struggle with, the mom guilt, especially, because I would feel bad if I was on calls all day and didn't spend time with the kids. And, I learned, like, first of all, you don't have to be on calls all day. You control your schedule. That's one of the
That's
perks.
the joy of having your own
Right.
business. Yeah.
Exactly. But second of all, if you're working with someone and you need to push a call out by an hour so that you can share a meal with your kids, then there's nothing wrong with that. Like, who's going to shoot you? You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how I make my decisions. I'm just like, what's going to happen if I decide to stop this task, or, start this task, or do whatever I feel called to do in the moment? Like, what's going to happen? What's the worst that can happen? Obviously, if my house is going to burn down, or, something
Yeah.
tragic, but if it's not the end of the world, we have to stop treating it like it is, to be honest.
Yes. Love that. It's such an important message, especially for our moms who are, freaking out to do absolutely everything. Take care of
Yeah.
yourself first, and everything
Yeah.
else will just follow. It's
It really
okay.
will. It really will.
Yes. So I'd love to know, what have you got going on in your business? So if someone listening, watching right now wants to get in touch with you, how can they go about working with you?
Yeah, so my website is very complex. Everything that I do is on my website. It's a kind of a one-stop shop for all services that I offer, and it's misskianajohnson.com.
Yes.
And then my Instagram is at Miss Kiana CEO. So kind of consistent. I can put the links in the comments
Oh,
if
I've
you
already
hadn't
got them.
already. Okay,
I think
yeah,
they're
you've
already
got it.
there. Yeah.
Okay. So right now, I think that obviously the tax business is what's kind of taken off right now and what's most in demand. So if anybody's needing tax prep or just a free estimate, we actually do refund advances up to $6,000, and then we send you on a 3-night vacation for 4. So that's part of our
Oh,
perks of filing with us, and the fees are really low. It just depends on what all you've got going on and all of that. Coaching wise, though, I am highlighting my social media services, which I offer in course format or in one-on-one. And then, of course, the one-on-one actual business coaching. So I don't do group coaching yet or anything like that. I like the intimacy of one-on-one. So that is what I've got going on. So new businesses, if you're launching or relaunching, I'm definitely accepting new one-on-one clients right now.
amazing. Okay. And so what would be your top 3 tips that you love to give your clients?
Top 3. Hmm. Let's see. I didn't think about this question. um,
That's okay. It could be the
so
top one, whatever.
yeah, okay. Let's see. I wrote down a couple of notes here. Um, I think we've covered everything. So aside from like the discipline and staying organized and all of that, and that comes in finding what works best for you. I feel like I scare people with the word discipline because they feel like that they've got to stick to a schedule, and it's like, no, I'm the latest person ever. I'm late to everything. It's not that you've got to be so organized that every day is planned, but aside from staying organized, being disciplined, and then what we've talked about with self-care and putting yourself first, I think one of my biggest tips is to not try so hard to follow the crowd. So if you are a coach, or if you do social media management, or if you do web design, or whatever it is that you do, don't feel that you have to put in place things that other coaches or web designers or social media managers use. I'm in a lot of groups, and I'm always the one going against the grain in the group. So for example, when I'll see, this is a great example. I'll see someone post about, what are your biggest tips to growing Instagram? And I see all these comments of people talking about boosting posts and buying ads. And I'm that one person who has never bought an ad. I've built my Instagram to almost 30K followers without purchasing any ads or boosting any posts, buying likes, buying followers,
Uh,
none of that. So, and I'm not against it. I can definitely teach, my clients how to do that. But I'm always the person kind of not even intentionally just going against the grain. I'm not that coach that charges, $5,000 to $10,000 for services. I'm not the coach who, just kind of, following the crowd and feeling like that you have to do as a coach what other coaches do. Or again, as a web designer, you've got to do other things that web designers do. I know in the coaching industry, and I don't know how you work this, but for me, I don't charge for whatever you want to call it, consultation calls, clarity calls, sales calls. It's called something different, discovery calls. I don't charge for those, but I noticed a big shift in people that are starting to charge for those because they don't want to waste their time. So it's completely understandable. I don't have a stance either way, but for one individually to determine, should I charge for discovery calls because everyone else is? Should I charge, should I do 30-minute calls or hour-long calls because everyone else is doing, 30-minute calls, but I want to do an hour? Should I do short-term programs or long-term programs because everyone else does long-term? Should I do group coaching or one-on-one coaching? Everybody's doing group coaching, so that's what I've run into a lot with my clients, since a lot of them are new business owners and especially new coaches. They always want my advice. So group coaching or one-on-one, should I do this or this? And I never sway either way. I give the pros and cons from my own experience. And I always like to give my advice from a client perspective and from a coaching perspective, and then still let them make the decision. So that's what I've noticed a lot in recent months with clients is that a lot of people in any industry, they're trying to follow what everyone else in that specific industry is doing instead of what feels right for them. So, and of course you want to follow the fad, if they come out with this new social media platform, we're all going to be on it. Like, and that's not what I'm saying. It's just more of, if it doesn't feel good to you to charge X amount of dollars or to charge for discovery calls, or if it doesn't feel good, and I just use coaching as an example, but if it doesn't feel good to charge X amount of money per hour for virtual assistant work or social media management, if everyone else is charging $25, but you feel better right now in the beginning charging $10, then charge $10. I know I run into this a lot too with people who don't have a website, because I feel like a website is very important, but it's not necessary. And so I see a lot of people, they're like, I actually don't have a website and I have a 6-figure business. And that to me is amazing. I'm like, good for you. So when someone comes to me and they're like, do you need a website? I'm like, well, I have one, but I know people who make 6 figures without one. So hope that helps, and we kind of explore those things and see, is a website in your budget? Are the fees to maintain it in your budget? Are you called to do it? Do you want to create the copy? Are you going to outsource it? And that's kind of how I answer those sorts of questions. So, all of that to just kind of say, like, don't feel like you have to do, as a business owner, don't feel like you have to do things. And as a mom too, like, just because, someone enrolls their kid in preschool doesn't mean if you're not ready, you don't have to. Just because the trend is to, get your kids to stop eating McDonald's. If you want your kids to eat McDonald's, let your kids eat McDonald's. Like, it's kind of, and it goes back to that self-care. Listen to whatever your mind is telling you, your body is telling you, and lead with that. Like, don't worry about what anyone else, what the rest of the industry that you're in has to say.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Go with your intuition and it will all work itself
out. Always.
Yes. So thank you so much, Kiana, for your time, for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So for everyone watching, if you've got any questions, comments, even if it's on the replay, just drop them below and we will come around and answer any of those for you. If you need help with taxes, if you want to buy a house, if you want coaching, go see Kiana. She has all sorts of services for you to go and help you. So reach out. She'd love to hear from you. And thank you all for watching. We will be back next week with another episode.
Thank
you very much. Bye.
Bye.